All right, how you guys doing today? About to hop into a little reaction. First things first, just want to make sure y'all like that video. Hit the little exit full screen, scroll a bit, like it, and then full screen it back up. You feel me? It's good until I'm very tired. I got 2 hours of sleep last night. Then I took about an hour and a half nap today. I had my final paper that was due last night, and that's why I was up till 2 a.m. And then today we had a final test. So technically, I'm all done with fully academic stuff for the semester. I just got like some internship stuff left to do and my jobs. Other than that, chilling. But I tried to understand Proverbs. I think I'm too tired to take in information for the better. Anyway, so we got our video today, and I think it's coming from the Bible Project. Yes. So why Jesus told parables? Now you can understand them. So personally, in my own reading, I'm in Matthew 21, right? I just started reading the Gospels again because I think no matter where you are in your faith walk, the Gospels are always something beautiful because Jesus is our central figure. And as such, the Gospels share something different because not only is it what he did, but it's him directly speaking to his disciples and indirectly us, right? And it's not him speaking on or somebody else speaking on behalf of Jesus, it's directly him speaking. So last night I was reading, and maybe due to the fact that I was tired, who knows, but we were learning, or I was learning about the parable of the two sons, and then also the barren fig tree. And I don't really understand why he brought forward the fig tree, nor do I understand the parable of the two sons. And then a few chapters before, he explained why he'd spoken parables and how his disciples could understand them, or why they should understand them. I don't really know. Anyway, we're just going to check this out and get straight into it.
Jesus of Nazareth was a master teacher, and some of his most well-known teachings are told in short stories called parables.
Yeah, like the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant who was looking for pearls. And when he found the ultimate pearl, he sold everything so that he could buy it.
Must have been some pretty amazing pearl.
Or the kingdom of God is like a tiny mustard seed that a farmer planted in his garden. It grew and became a huge tree, and birds came to perch in its branches.
And that's a beautiful image, but what does it mean?
Exactly. Jesus didn't tell parables to make everything clear. Rather, he wanted to provoke the imagination and invite people to see what God is doing in the world from a new perspective.
So let's talk about how to read the parables of Jesus. Now, there's many great teachers that throughout history have used stories to teach students about morality, religion, philosophy.
But Jesus didn't use his parables to teach abstract religious or moral ideals. He said that his parables were about himself and his mission.
His mission, which was to announce that the kingdom of God was arriving on earth as it is in heaven.
Right. So in Jesus' day, the Israelites were ruled by the Roman Empire. But their scriptures promised that one day their God would come to rule his people as king. And so many Israelites wanted to revolt against Rome and fight for their freedom.
And this is what some people thought of as the kingdom of God.
Exactly. But Jesus was a poor, traveling prophet, healing the sick, inviting people to follow him. And he said that this was the arrival of God's kingdom.
And that didn't fit people's expectations.
Right. And so Jesus used some parables to help people imagine that his small movement was the arrival of God's kingdom.
Oh yeah, like the parable that the kingdom of God is yeast hidden in a lump of dough. And you might not see its influence, but it's gonna change everything.
Jesus also told parables about the upside down values of God's kingdom, about how the least important people in the world are actually the most important people to God, especially those who are poor and of low status.
Yeah, like the parable about the business owner who hired workers throughout the day, in the morning, later in the day, and even towards the end of the day. And when it was time to pay everyone, he paid them all the same wage.
Right, Jesus is showing how money and status are irrelevant to God, who offers his generous mercy to everybody.
Now, not all of the parables have happy endings. Some are really intense.
Yes, Jesus stood in the tradition of Israel's prophets, who also told parables to criticize Israel's leaders because they mistook their kingdom for God's. So Jesus warned the leaders of his day. If they don't accept his offer of God's kingdom, they're headed for destruction.
Yeah, like the parable of the landowner who built a wonderful vineyard, and he expects it to produce fruit.
Yes, Jesus gets this parable from the prophet Isaiah, but then he adapts it.
Right, and so the landowner appoints managers to take care of this vineyard. And at harvest, he sends servants to collect the fruit. but those managers kill the servants.
And so the landowner sends his own son to confront the managers, and they kill him too. And so Jesus asked the people around him, "What do you all think this landowner should do?"
Oh, he's gonna punish those managers and hire new ones.
Jesus knew that if Israel kept on their current path, they would be destroyed by Rome. And so in parables like this, he's forcing people to make a decision about his offer of God's kingdom. Are people going to reject him, ignore him, or trust and follow him?
Now, if this message of God's kingdom is so important, why cloak it in parables? Why not be more clear?
Well, through riddles and parables, Jesus could make really bold claims that revealed truth to people who were open-minded.
For those who have ears to hear, they could ponder it and go deeper.
But the parables would also conceal his message from those who were against him, so that he could buy more time.
By time, for what?
Well, Jesus was preparing his closest followers for the greatest surprise yet. Jesus claimed that Israel's God was coming to rule over his people not through coercion or violent force, but through self-giving love, as he was going to die for their sins.
But his death wasn't the end.
Right. He said that his death would be like a tiny seed buried in the ground, but then it would grow and produce a crop with many seeds.
So, these parables, they explain who Jesus was and what he was up to.
And the gospel authors have preserved these parables so that now every generation of Jesus' followers can read and ponder them.
And imagine how God's kingdom is still at work even today.
Right. These ancient parables are still full of new surprises and challenges. They're like a storehouse packed with treasures, some that are new, some that are old, and it's all just waiting to be discovered.
I think that was one of the most clear definitions I had heard, because I never really thought about it like that, that he was telling them not only so that the open-minded people could ponder them and, choose to seek out more and choose to understand them, but also so that he could buy himself time before it was necessary that he had to sacrifice himself. Because when the Pharisees were bringing all their claims that they would against him, they were saying, oh, he's claimed to be God, and always claiming to do uprisings, and he's trying to incite violence and all that. And Jesus could say, I've done none of this, right? When Pilate came to him and said, you say that you're a king, and Jesus is like, whatever. Pilate's like, I got power, and he's like, you only have power from my Father up above and all that, right? They couldn't really find him guilty on any grounds, so then it's claiming to have some type of authority that nobody could understand, right? It's not like he incited violence, it's not like he did anything crazy. And because of that, this telling of the parables makes sense. Where he's buying time so that they don't have any charges to bring against him, so he has more time to teach and more time to save before he does the ultimate act that saves us, so long as we put our faith in it, right? All right, that's gonna be the end of the video. Hope you guys have something fantastic the rest of your day. Peace.